Doesn't it sometimes just feel like financial services is just a giant class struggle? You have non-target versus target, you have bulge bracket and mega fund versus middle market, back office, middle office versus front office. So I want to use this opportunity to share the right mindset you should have to break into high finance. Let's dive in. Look, the entire universe knows we are all going for the front office for the money. But if you just say, I want to work at the front office, first of all, it won't help. Second, it makes you look very embarrassing because you're clueless. Front office has many functions, and each of them requires a different skill set and a story from you. I get it. You want to make more money and you want to escape your current job. And it's also understandable most of you are thinking about just yourself. If you just try to think about it from the hiring manager's perspective, what are they looking for? What is their motive? They're looking for candidates who are committed to their specific path. So instead, you really need to tailor your messaging. Be clear about what exactly you want to do in the front office. Investment banking, hedge fund, quants, equity research, sales and trading, etc. Rather than vaguely saying, oh, I want to go to the front office. Who doesn't? Because being specific helps others help you. And you want the help, right? Now you might think, I have a PhD, I can do mathematical rigorous work, I can solve partial differential equations, why can't I get a job on the front office? But the goal of any business is to generate revenue and more importantly profit. Front office professionals generate revenue and they actually do it with simple math and slide decks. In middle office, you don't generate revenue. Of course, non-compliance with regulatory requirements can hurt shareholder value, but your work in the middle office don't add incremental shareholder value. And no matter how complex the math is, I mean, it can get rocket scientist-ish very quickly. What do CEOs do? Big picture thinking, qualitative insight, making big decisions, and frankly, dealing with the politics. Because you do middle office, back office work without the business acumen and the communication skills, you will be easily overshadowed by those who excel in those areas. By now, you probably figured out the rigor of analytical work actually decreases as you break into the front office. And that means a lot of the skills you have currently, if you're good at your job in the middle office or back office, they don't transfer to the front office. So you need to learn new skills, and they're qualitative and strategic skills. The investment bankers, private equity folks, or hedge fund folks, we do financial modeling, but it is the industry insights, understanding the business value drivers, and the sales skills that ultimately create value for clients and for ourselves. And that was the reason why I was really drawn to public equity investing, because of the qualitative and strategic aspect. And that was a huge adjustment because I was trained as a statistician. I had to adjust to the imprecision that comes with front office work versus in the middle office, a lot of things did involve coding and equations. So if you want a front office job, realize that now you need to develop a set of softer skills. A lot of you think professional credentials will magically earn you a seat at the table. It will not. Think about it. How many of your middle office friends have CFA and FRM and are still stuck in the middle office? Plenty of them. Selling hope is clearly a great business model. Almost everyone can do math on a spreadsheet, but there will always be way fewer people who can make decisions, build relationships, and sell. Instead of piling on more certifications, why don't you prioritize developing the needed skills? Get people to like you and build a network. And that leads to my next point. You gotta work on your communication skills, especially if you're not a native English speaker. When I got to the front office, they might not tell you because it can be conceived as discriminatory. Communication skills absolutely matters. If you can't communicate, you just won't go very far in the corporate world in general. And you definitely will not succeed in high finance because it's a sales job. So how do you work on your communication skills? First of all, you gotta read a lot, preferably also write consistently. You can practice public speaking explicitly by joining groups like Toastmasters, which should exist in every city. And remember, it's not what you know that gets you the job. It's what others think you know that gets you the job. And how do you make other people think you know? By communicating clearly. And I've seen this play out during my MBA. Before investment banking recruiters started, I could already tell who can get an IB offer and who wouldn't. And I can tell you in hindsight, my hit rate was pretty high. And my assessment wasn't based on intelligence or credentials, but on their general smoothness. Because you go to these recruiting events, some of these candidates, they just struggle with English or they just don't know the cultural references. Some were socially awkward, some just dress very poorly. And they usually don't get to move on. If the senior bankers don't like you, they just can't imagine working with you on a daily basis. And forget about putting you in front of senior executives or their clients, right? If you lick your finger after eating food and talking to clients, that's not good. Trust me, it happened. So if you're shooting for front office, think about it now whether you have the necessary soft skills. And this is true even for seemingly introverted paths like private equity or hedge funds. Common perception might be hedge fund analysts just sitting in their office reading 10Ks and doing spreadsheet work. No, they do not. They go meet with CEOs and CFOs and get on calls, talk to industry contacts, attending industry conferences, interacting with other human beings too. Frankly, the best investors are ones who are likable and can ask good questions. That's how you gain invaluable insights. Maybe 50 years ago, if you're just sitting there doing math and finding nets, that might have worked. In today's world, the edge tends to be very qualitative. So no matter where you go, people skills are so essential. You might want to work on them now. And what is it like when you have people skill? Well, that leads to my next point. I don't watch ice hockey, but I heard this guy Wayne Gretzky, he's pretty good. What does he tell us? He tells us to skate to where the puck is going, not where it has been. So what does that mean for you? You gotta go make friends with front office people just to understand what is it like to be like them. So go get a coffee. There's no better way to gain insights into what it takes to go where you want to go, right? By talking to the front office people, there are a few benefits. One, you understand the specific skills required for the role you're interested in. Two, you get a realistic view of what is it like to work there. That helps you decide if that's really a path you want to pursue, right? Most of you are thinking about pursuing something because it makes you a lot of money. So many fewer of you are deciding on your career because it suits you and it's your passion, right? By talking to the people who already work in the profession you want to work in, don't you get a good understanding of whether that's something you really want to do? And isn't it good to know that before you go into the profession? It doesn't hurt to build the contacts already so they can vouch for you when good opportunities come up. If they think you're good, of course. So it's really important to talk to as many front office people as you can, because not knowing what you're getting yourself into is where many stumble, because they found out they don't love what they thought they want to do after getting into the profession. There is no career path that offers more money and intellectual stimulation without more stress, hours, and career risk. So you really need to understand what you're signing up for and decide whether that's truly something you want to pursue. I went to a tech party a few months ago and I told someone I used to work at a hedge fund. And her first question was, "Oh, why did you quit a hedge fund? You make so much money at a hedge fund." I said, "Yeah, but it's also very stressful." And then she had her aha moment. It's really common that most people think one-dimensionally when making career decisions, especially if you're younger. I understand that, I've been there. But in reality, everything in life has trade-offs, which I've discussed in the past as grass is greener syndrome. I'll give you some examples. In hedge funds, you never really detach from work because when the market's closed, you can always be looking at another company, generating another idea, thinking about what can go wrong. Even when you love the game, it can be tiring sometimes, but it never stops. If you run your own fund, you want to drive more alpha. If you work for your portfolio manager, your PM always wants something new to keep the portfolio churning. Now, this is kind of topical because the on-cycle recruiting for private equity has begun. A lot of investment bankers will naturally go to private equity thinking it's a better lifestyle. But you still work long hours, go through endless administrative tasks and bureaucracy to execute the deal. Venture capital, right? Change the world, the next big thing. What do you actually do as a junior person? You have to socialize all week at events to find the next Mark Zuckerberg. And if you're a mid-level VC person, you get pressured by the partners. Why haven't you brought in any deals? We want to give money to the next big thing. And in investment banking, you're always on call. Every vacation can be interrupted by a please fix moment that forces you to whip out your laptop while you're in the middle of a very nice meal. Yes, you will get paid better, and the work is more impactful and intellectually rewarding, hopefully. But are you willing to suffer for it? And you can ask Jim Donovan all about it. It's a yes if you are motivated by the content of the work. It's a no if you're only motivated by the money, or even worse, by the prestige. Who cares about prestige? Prestige doesn't put meals on the table. Because if you have self-esteem issues and you hope working in front office can solve that, it probably won't. You'll be more miserable than you already are. It's going to be really hard. You need to be persistent and keep putting yourself out there. Opportunities won't be handed to you on a silver platter. You will get rejected a lot. You will get ghosted a lot. That's just part of the game. People say it's a numbers game. It really is. And some might call it sheer aggression. But those who go for it get to eat. That's how competitive it is to get to the front office. You can see it in my personality, right? And frankly, that's also how you thrive in the front office. Because most of them are a sales job. Some of you probably know the story of Gary Cole, the ex-COO of Goldman Sachs. He got an interview and a job from Goldman Sachs. He offered to share a cab ride with a commodity trader to the airport, and he impressed the trader during the 45-minute ride. And the rest was history. You need to develop that proactive, putting yourself out there mentality to get shots on goal. You also need to be open-minded about where your first front office seat will be. I've talked about the Tiger Cup or nothing mindset associated with hedge fund recruiting. Same thing, you can't have a bulge bracket or nothing mindset if you're recruiting for investment banking. You might be wondering, why shouldn't I go for the best things? I deserve the best things too. Yes, you do. These elite firms have the brand recognition and bargaining power to attracting the best candidates on paper. So for you, you should try your luck with smaller firms who are usually more open-minded about taking candidates from non-traditional backgrounds. Include them in your search targets. Like, I'm not saying you can't go to the bigger firms down the road. First, get a seat at the table and perform on a job. And you can always build your brand by networking more. Sooner or later, you can level the perception and land at your dream shop after proving you have the intrinsic skills if you perform on a job. But I think for most of you, it's unlikely you will land at a brand name firm in a desired function in one shot. Even if you currently work at a respected firm, but you work in middle office and back office, you're likely not respected by your front office colleagues. That's just the way it is. So if you work at a bulge bracket bank in operation or risk management, it's highly unlikely you will ever interact with a single person from investment banking or equity research division at the same bank. So my point is, definitely don't make career decisions solely on the firm brand, because you don't have an insider advantage if functionally you're not aligning. So instead, focusing on aligning function first. For example, if you aspire to a career in equity research, let's say you got an operation job at Goldman Sachs and you got an equity research job at a middle market bank. Take the equity research offer. It's always easier to move across firms when you have functional competence than trying to move within the firm without transferable skills. When all else fails, you should consider an MBA program. But I always consider an MBA as the literal last resort, because most of the time, someone growth-minded enough can achieve the move without a certificate with this height of explicit cost and implicit opportunity cost. And keep in mind, business schools also want candidates with very clear post-MBA career goals. So we're back to the point of, I want to get into the front office will not be a good topic to write down for your MBA admission essay. Instead, in your admission essay, you want to articulate why you want to pursue a particular high finance path, such as investment banking, and how the MBA program will help you get there. Having done an MBA myself, I can tell you it's not a magic bullet either. That's a topic I will save for future contents. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next 2 videos on the next screen. Talk to you next time. Peace.